Today we're going to learn about a special situation when we're solving equations that we haven't come across yet. You will have a question like this on your quiz, so make sure that you're either writing this down in your notebook or on a blank piece of paper, following along and starting to do some of the examples on your own by the end of the video so that you'll know how to do this for your quiz. I do not have my pen with me at home, so please forgive the handwriting. It's going to be bad because I have to just write on the screen with my finger. Okay, so we've seen like equations where we've got like x, you don't have to write this part down, we've got like x plus 3 equals 15. So we'd subtract 3 from both sides of that equal sign. We'd get x equals 12. Okay, we've seen things like that before. What we haven't seen is where we have something and then minus x. So let me do another example of what we have seen. So again, you don't have to write this part down. So we've seen like x minus 5 equals 12. So we'd add 5, we get x equals 17. Okay, because over here we have a positive x. What we haven't done is have like 5 minus x. So we're going to go ahead and do some examples like that. And I'm going to show you different ways that you could do that. And whichever way you like best is the way that you can choose to solve it. Let's just start off with some like easy like mental math type problems. So let's say we've got like 10 minus x is 5. Okay, well if we know 10 minus some number, well actually let's change that so it's not going to end up being the same number. Let's do 10 minus x equals 6. So 10 minus some number equals 6. Okay, thinking to ourselves, we all know that that number is 4. Okay, but normally how we were told to solve this is if there's subtraction, we would add 10 to both sides. Again, don't write this down, this is wrong. And we'd get x equals 16. But that's not correct because 10 minus 16 is not 6. That would be a negative 6. And the reason why that happens is because we have this minus x. That subtraction, remember, we can treat as like a negative. We've been dealing with that when we were like combining like terms. So that subtraction can't just like disappear, right? We can't just get rid of it. So that subtraction or that negative stays with the x, okay, which is why this doesn't work. All right, so now I'm going to want you to start following along because we're going to go through some examples of solving these problems that I want you to know how to do. Okay, so let's do 25, oh my goodness, minus x equals 17. Okay. Two different ways we can do this. I'll show you both ways. The first way I think is the easiest because you're just canceling out what you have. So I have a negative 25 that I need to, or sorry, a positive 25 that I need to cancel out. How I cancel out a positive 25 is by subtracting 25, right? 25 minus 25 gives me 0. Okay, so that cancels out. However, I am still left with a minus x. So when I write down my next step, I keep that minus or that negative with the x. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So I do 17 minus 25. Technically, I'm going to flip that around and do 25 minus 17. And I'm going to get 8. Now, my 25 was larger, and that was my negative 25, so it would equal a negative 8. Because remember, 17 minus 25, I could rewrite that as 17 plus negative 25, adding the opposite. Sorry guys, I told you my handwriting was going to be bad. So now I know that negative x, or the opposite, remember we can treat negatives like opposites, so the opposite of x is negative 8, meaning that x would be 8. So if I just take the opposite of negative x, I'd get x. If I take the opposite of negative 8, I get 8. So that is one way that we can do it. All right, let's do the exact same problem. I'm just going to undo everything I pretty much wrote to get us back to the start. Okay, so I'm going to draw my line down. Okay, and I want you to show this example on your paper, even though we just did it, but I want you to show it this other way. That way you have two different strategies you can use and you can choose which one you like better. What I can do is I can move this x over to the other side to make it a positive. And the way that I do that is, since we're subtracting x, we can add x to both sides. Subtracting x and adding x cancels out. For example, let's say x is 5. So subtracting 5 and adding 5, those cancel out. Okay, so on this side, all I'd be left with is 25. Over here, I'd have 17 plus x, which didn't really get us any closer to solving it. However, now we just have an easier equation to solve because we just have to cancel out a plus 17. And to cancel out a plus 17, we just subtract 17. Plus 17 minus 17 cancels out. We're left with x equals 8. As you see, we get the same answer both ways. Whichever one makes more sense to you, is easiest for you, works just fine. We're going to go ahead and do another example. If you want to pause the video because you're feeling confident and do it by yourself, totally fine. If you want to follow along with me for one more, that's fine as well. All right, let's do 15 minus x equals, let's say 35. Okay, now this situation only happens when we're subtracting x. Remember, when we have x minus 15 equals 35, that's different because we can just add 15 to both sides and the whole thing cancels out and we're left with a positive x. This is only when we are subtracting x that we need to worry about this. I just want to make that clear. All right, so it's up to you which way you want to go ahead and solve it. I'm going to solve it first by adding x to both sides. I think that most of you are going to like that way better, so I'm going to show that way first. Subtracting x, adding x cancels out. We're left with 15 equals 35 plus x. We have to get rid of a plus 35, so we subtract 35, x equals. Remember, this means 15 plus negative 35. When we're adding signs, integers with different signs, we subtract, so 35 minus 15 is 20. Keep the sign of the larger number, negative 20. You could have also chosen to do it by just getting rid of the 15 and keeping the negative x, by canceling out a positive 15 with a negative 15, minus 15. We get negative x equals 20. If negative x equals 20, that means positive x equals negative 20. It would just be the opposite. Again, we're going to end up at the same answer. All right, for these next two examples, I want you to write them down, do them on your own, use the video to check your answers. All right, first problem, let's do 42 minus x equals 15, and then let's do 12 minus x equals 13. No, I want to do 7. 16. All right, so pause the video at this point and solve them, and then you resume the video to check your answers. All right, if we are paying attention now, we should already have these problems done. We are just using this video to check. I'm going to solve them by adding x to both sides. If you solved it the other way, that's fine. Just bear with me till the end to make sure that we got the same answer. So our new equation would be 42 equals 15 plus x. I want to cancel out a plus 15, and I do that by subtracting 15. I get x equals 27. Okay, you could have also subtracted 42 from both sides. Get negative x equals negative 27. If negative x equals negative 27, positive x equals positive 27. All right, last one, we'd add x to both sides. I need to cancel out a plus 16, so I subtract 16. I get left with x equals negative 4. If I would have done it the other way, I would have subtracted 12, I would have gotten negative x equals negative 4, so positive x, or sorry, negative x would equal positive 4, so positive x would equal negative 4. All right, What I want you to do, especially with examples like this, but really with any solving equation question, you guys are going to be able to finish that quiz super quick, okay? These problems are going to go fast for you. So what I want you to do is plug your answers back in. So what I mean by that is, like, for an equation like this, I want you to put your answer back in. So 42 minus 27, and make sure that that equals 15. Or for this one over here, for example, I would do 12 minus -4 equals 16. Well, subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding a positive. So 12 plus 14 is 16. So always plug your answers in to check, especially for that quiz tomorrow or for the quiz study guide, because it's an easy way to know if you were on the right track while you were solving it or you weren't. All right, and that's it.